Mr. Guy Cohen. Before I get too much into it, I want to cover the disclaimer first. This demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and accompanying software plugins, and are not recommendations to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of our software, any trading strategies, or information provided in connection with the company. All right, we got the boring stuff out of the way. Today we have a guest speaker, Mr. Guy Cohen, who is really a financial innovator. He is the creator and originator of the OVI Indicator. We've actually worked with Guy for many years trying to get this indicator, get this system within MetaStock, and we were able to finally get that accomplished. We're very excited about it. Today's presentation is going to be a little bit of a twofold presentation where Guy is going to be covering quite a bit of the features within the OVI Traders Club, and then towards the last, I'm going to show you the ease of use of the OVI indicator and system within MetaStock. So we have a lot of stuff to cover today. Without further ado, I want to turn the time over to Guy. Guy, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you well. Wonderful. Can you hear me well?
I can. I can hear you just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter here.
Okay. Hello. Show my screen. And which one do I want to show? I think I want to... You can see... Let's have a look. Just want to make sure you can see what you should be seeing, which is my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
We got you. Okay, well, welcome everyone to my portion. I'm going to try and be about 20 minutes. It's going to be difficult, but I'm not the main bit of this. So welcome anyone. I don't know how many of you guys came through me or how many came through our friends at MetaStock, but that doesn't really matter. If you're with me already, then this is going to be a good little refresher. And if you're not, this will be a good little introduction. So welcome to this bit, and I'm going to try and whiz through as much as I can. By the way, MetaStock members who have access to OVI or want access to the OVI also can get the ebook at ovi.to/MetaStock ebook as well. So just in case you didn't have it, and then you can contact the MetaStock support guys, as Hunter will tell you, for that particular plugin as well. But that's a pretty good book. That'll tell you, in this book, we'll show you kind of all about what we do, and it's a brand new edition as well. So what's the one thing that can make all the difference between a successful trader and the rest? And we know that the rest are not successful. Well, the crucial difference is superior information and timing, when to time acting on that superior information. Now, I can't see you guys waving. I love the wave function in this platform, in the GoToWebinar, but I can't see it today. But just wave at me anyway when you think that something's good and exciting and that resonates with you. And even if I can't see it, it still makes me feel good to know that you're doing it. So it's superior information. Now, what information could this be? Well, this is what got me on the path to information. When I did my finance MBA back in 1996-97, I specialized in the specific modules within that MBA, within that finance MBA. And one of them was options. And my two options professors were very different people. This guy here only he's an academic. I should put like a mortarboard on him, okay? Academic, okay? Academic, there you go. And this guy was a professional, okay? So this is Gordon Gemmell on the left. This guy here, Kevin Connolly. And Kevin Connolly was a professional. He was a visiting professor who would come in, but he made millions in the options markets by trading volatility when there was lots of mispricing going on. So completely different guys. This guy, Gordon Gemmell, didn't make a bean. If I can get my pen, he didn't make anything. So let's put a big fat zero on him, and let's put a big fat $sign on him. But what was interesting, they both said the same thing. in different sort of tutorials, and it really grabbed my attention. And they said something to the words to the effect of this: if you want to succeed with investing in the market, figure out what the blank blanks are doing. And those blank blanks are, of course, options traders. Figure out what the options traders do. Now, they were kind of being a little bit facetious with this, because especially at the time, but even today, it's very difficult to understand what the options traders are doing. And it's not that there's not enough information out there, it's just there's so much, there's billions of rows of information out there, and it's really making head or tail of that. But of course, you know, when there's a crash, of course, who gets the blame? Options traders. And then they try to ban options trading. And it's not that, you know, they are, well, it's not that they're doing anything necessarily particularly untoward. It's just this, and think about the logic. The logic is this: if you know you have superior information, do you want to get 1 for 1, or do you want to get 4 for 1? And in very crude terms, you're going to want to get 4 for 1 if you think your information is really, really top-notch information. And that's what people like this guy did. I mean, not saying he was cheating or anything like that, but if he had good information because he was on the inside working at places like James Capel, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, etc., well, of course, they're going to want to amplify their advantage. And that's exactly what these people do. And if we want to know what that options information is, it looks like this. And this is just a tiny fraction of options information. Apple has over 1,000 different options, same with Microsoft and Goldman and all the big companies. So how do you track all these numbers and figures and this and that? Well, it's a bit like The Matrix, isn't it? Those movies, you know, with Keanu Reeves, with all the kind of those special effects. It's just numbers pouring out everything. But what I did was I made those numbers into something completely different. I made it into a line that goes up and down between +1 and -1. I'm actually showing you the wrong chart right now, but here is the line. It's filled in red or filled in blue. And at the bottom here is -1, and at the top here is +1. And here's what it does. It figures out whether options traders are likely to be more bullish or bearish on a particular stock. And if they are in a persistent fashion, and persistent is the big word here, then we might want to focus our direction in the same way that they're focused. And so if it's all red like this, we might be wanting to focus on bearish situations and maybe a bearish setup that could yield profit. And if it's in blue, we might want to be looking, well, I said we might, we do want to be looking at bullish situations. So it's going to give you the main direction, as it does here with Baidu. The trend is down. Now, making the trade, which is the next step, is another thing entirely. But at least if we've got a chance of having the main direction right, we're on the right path. And there's just nothing else like this. And that's what the OVI does. It's called the Options Volatility Indicator. And it really is a bit like the weather. It takes raw data, like you just saw with those matrixy type things, the option chains, and it turns it into something that's a high probability, usable information. Now, of course, you know, if you're in the desert, the information you're going to get is going to be super high probability because it's pretty much sunny and dry all the time. And they know the outlier times where it's going to be very, very dry, very, very wet. Occasionally, once in a while, you know, a couple of times a year. When you're in the mountains, obviously the probabilities are going to be a little bit different. But it's the same kind of situation that we're doing. We're taking raw data, unpleasant, and lots of it, billions of rows of data, and we're turning it into something that's readable, understandable, followable, and also high probability and usable. And that's what it is. And so if you look at, say, the 3 times leverage gold indicator or stock, if you like, the ETF, NUGT, recently, what we could see is even while the market was going up before the kerfuffle of the last 2 weeks, I said to people, look, something's going on, guys, with gold. You can see this in GLD as well. But you especially saw it on this particular one. He said, guys, something's going on here. Look at all this blue. The options traders are ramping up persistently, and this does not look like hedging. And so I kind of liken it to being a cookie trail, and we're going to follow those cookies. And this is the cookies right here. Here they are. There's the breadcrumbs, if you like. And so the stock rises, and once it makes a once it makes a setup that's tradable, low risk, that we could enter into, that's what we would do. We would go in at such a point. So at that point, that would be around 21. And of course, it's up to 40. It's doubled this in just the last few weeks, couple of months. And that's the power of having that insight, that even while the market was going up, we could see that gold, there was a run on gold at the time at the leveraged level. And that was before everyone else caught wind of it. So pretty cool, and just current all the time. So 100% there, but it is the rise in NUGT, but that's not really the point. These guys here are playing for much bigger stakes. They, even deep in the money guys, were making 4 times their money, 318% from here. And this is just from here, by the way. This isn't from here. This would be even more. 318% from here to here. As NUGT doubled, the options traders quadrupled, 4x, okay, during that time. This is just one of zillions of examples that we can just give you, and this is just current. So that's $1,700 going into $7,275. So the next part of it is, well, we had the great information, superior information. What's the next part? It's timing. Because timing, if you get your timing wrong, then it doesn't really matter if you get good information. If you mess up your timing, you're not going to make money. And what's the biggest problems that traders have? Well, it's lack of control at entry. So a lot of traders don't know when to enter or how to enter. Everyone has allowed a profit to turn into a loss. I have, and you have, and even the great folks at MetaStock have. We've all done it at one point. We've allowed a decent profit to turn into a loss. And we've made the other mistake of not allowing profits to run into trend windfalls, or the trending ones to run into windfalls. Well, how do you get them both right? How do you not allow a profit to turn into loss while also allowing it to turn into windfall? Well, there's specific techniques that I have for that. And of course, not having a proven system in the first place, not having the ultimate information in the first place. And so how do you get your timing right? Well, you get it right by having a great plan. And my solution to that is a 4-part trading plan, which spells EDGE. And what this enables us to do is use this superior information that we have and then apply a template plan to any strategy we do, whether it's stocks, options, bullish, bearish, it doesn't matter. We still apply the EDGE plan to that. And that's exactly how my people do it. And that's why they stay with me for years and years and years. And what that EDGE plan is this. It's entry, get the entry right and establish control. Then defend your profits. Don't allow a profit to turn into a loss or decent profit. So set a modest profit target. Then allow the ones that are growing to grow. Don't be left behind. And then the whole thing enshrined in evidence of superior information, which is the OVI. So the entry situation is all about finding a suitable pattern that's safe. Then there's a prompt that gets you to actually make a trade, and then what you have to do is put in protection. That's a stop loss. So here's how it worked very quickly. I'm going to whiz through this because I'm conscious of time, but I'm hoping you'll get the idea here. Here is a great little setup. It's gone up and then gone sideways. Up and sideways or down and sideways is good. And our breakout point would be our entry as the stock breaks out with a persistent positive OVI. Look, you can see at this point with Apple, they're all bullish. Okay, and the stock price is confirming that, because guess what? The stock's bullish too. So we know this is not hedging. Okay, we know it's position building. So we have confidence in that sense. And then we put the stop in underneath, and that's the entry part. So we have the setup being right, and then the actual prompt for that, and then we protect. Now, defending profits is all about securing a profit early, making sure it doesn't turn into a loss. That doesn't mean you have to take it all off the table, but there are mechanisms. And we set what we do with that. We set a modest profit target, conservative profit target. We adjust that profit the initial stop in order to protect our profits, and we may or may not choose to bank some early profits. We might take half the profits. So in this particular case, we set a modest profit target. There's a mechanism for doing that. So in this case, it was from Microsoft, so from Apple going to about 131 to 135. It's not very much. It's modest. But what happened is, what we're able to do is now adjust our initial stop. So if the stock price comes down, this is just one of the mechanisms. I have a few. If the stock price comes down, it's a break-even trade. Or what we could do is take half the profits off. And if it then comes down after that, then we're still making profit. So there are different flavors of how to do that. And that's how we defend our profits. Then the next part is, well, how do we grow? How do we grow with a trend? If a trend's happening, we want to be part of that ride. Don't miss out on it. So what we do is we shadow the stock with our stop loss, with our stop. We adjust our stop accordingly when the stock rises in our favor or falls in our favor, and then we exit as well. At the end of that, we're going to be knocked out at some point. So here's one with Home Depot, and here's our entry point here in our little sideways pattern, our persistent OVI. Here it all is. And as the stock price rises, what's going to happen is we're going to take what's called our first profit target, and then we're going to shadow the stock. So as the stock price is going sideways, we don't move our stop, but as it reaches new highs, we raise it to a safe distance behind, because we don't want to be knocked out with just a small retracement. We want to get knocked out with a decent retracement, or when the market has fundamentally changed. So as you see, as the stock price rises, we go up and we tuck our stop in below support or below other resistance. And as it goes sideways or doesn't do very much, we keep our stop in place. And that way we can shadow the stock as it goes up. And here's a 22% move with options, with these guys down here. Even the most conservative ones, that was 118%. So you see how 2,500 goes into 5,600. And of course, the whole thing must be enshrined in evidence, in a logical, testable, proven way. We're using superior information, and that's where the OVI is. We have enormous amounts of data. We arrange and clean and organize that data. We test that data with independent consultants, and then we have it authenticated. And that's why we're able to get these kind of equity curves with what we do, even in the automated world, which is much more difficult than actually in the guided discretionary world. That's why our automated models are able to add value against the index over 2/3 of the time. That is really, really good. And when it adds value, it adds more value than when it's not adding value, even better than that. So very, very seriously good stuff. And obviously that's why institutions or analysts say using institutional methods of financial modeling, the OVI stands up to rigorous scrutiny as a valuable, logical, and robust indicator, highly valuable in predicting broad market sentiment. That's this one, and identifying stocks that subsequently perform as well individually. And that's why people get these track records of 23, 29 winning trades in a row. That's how I get my success as well. You multiply account thousands of percent at a time over and over again. And that's how people like Zoe here just says purely OVI. She's grown her account more than double. In fact, 150% in just 11 weeks earlier this year. It's only the OVI. I've just scribbled that out, but actually there's a big reveal coming there saying only the OVI in that one. That's how all these guys like Carl and Roger and Ryan and Chloe and Kate have made thousands of percent, and collectively over, actually not this one, but collectively hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and become my friends at the same time. So here was Apple. We saw that earlier and what that became. We got examples like MuleSoft, which we were all over. Beautiful big blue OVI with breakouts, up move, sideways move, up move, sideways move. We take the breakouts of that. That's how you get 126%, doubling 2,500 into 5,500. But it goes obviously the other way, and I'm going to show you some negative, some bearish examples as well. Here's LB Brands, down and sideways, persistent bearishness in the options world, persistent there. So I'm just going to whiz through a few of those. Here's PCYC, one of my favorites, but just look at the setup and you'll see it over and over and over again, up and sideways, thick blue and persistent blue, and then a move as well again. And I'm a real scholar when it comes to different trading methods. I go through so many, and still I cannot find anything that is better in terms of odds making than the OVI. This is Advanced Micro Devices last year. Look, up, sideways. OVI is blue and now stays blue, and it does it again in July and and August as well. For collectively on that one, well, collectively you made a couple of 100% on the options both times. I mean, enormous returns if you were doing even the best, even the most conservative options. And obviously all this has led me to writing books that I was asked to write, and I kind of thought it'd be interesting to write a book, but it became a bestseller. So then I thought, well, then they thought, can you write another one? I thought, well, yeah, I could write another one, and then another one, and then another one. But I'm not going to write any more books. I'm done with books. But even institutions like New York Stock Exchange have licensed my options trading applications and hired me for data analysis as well. So what is in the OVI private club? I can be happy to say that I'm almost here at the end. Well, the OVI private club that we are including with if you choose to have it, if you choose to go with a private club and the MetaStock plugin as well, here's what you get. So OVI private club members get a combination of what we call the market dashboard and OVI sentiment indicator, OVI charts, watch lists, reversal trade finder, and a virtual trading app. Now, let me show you just a couple of those things. Here's what the OVI Private Club looks like. It's just in the process of being mobile optimized. That means that you can shrink it, you can push it, you can look at it sideways in landscape, you can look at it in portrait, it works, whatever. And let's have a look at the dashboard. This is the dashboard. The dashboard here is a very cool function. It shows you in an instant where you are in earnings, what the OVI sentiment is. This is a longer term indicator, so it's still green at the moment, but obviously it's gone half green, and obviously the market is wobbly at this moment in time. What we would say, it's a market in conflict, because we can see the 1 month trend is very red, the 2 month trend is about 50-50. And it shows you the number of stocks that are doing one or the other, trending either bullishly or bearishly. If you click on here, you'll get more information to any of these pies. It shows you how many flags there are. We like to trade flag patterns. That's the up and sideways move, or the down and sideways move. That's why we like those. It gives you counts, and the size of the pie shows you if it's a big count or a small count compared to the last 12 months. It shows you flag combinations with trend and with the OVI as well, which is really, really cool because they're the higher probability ones. Then we have a reversal section, which I won't go into. We have a pre-earnings section, and we have a post-earnings section as well. So see setups happening before earnings about to happen on a particular stock and after earnings. All this is giving you such valuable information to see where you should apply your focus in the market, and it's doing it literally in a snap of a finger. It is very, very cool. But there's tons more. Let me show you what else we have in here. Apart from the fact the navigation is really, really simple, I'll do the training in a second. Let's go through the toolkit. So here I've clicked on toolkit, and then I can go into and select anything. So OVI charts, this is where you can pull up a chart of any OVI stock. Here's some I've got earlier, and you'll see that our charts are very, very simple. Obviously with MetaStock you can do a whole lot more, but we're only just going to focus on one thing, and I'll show you these stocks a bit later. But our OVI charts are dead simple. We can put a 200-day moving average, a 50-day, 20-day. We can also show the implied volatility of the options if you're into all that as well, which I do from time to time. It's very useful from time to time. I will come back to in a minute. The dashboard, you've seen the sentiment indicator is very, very simple. It just gives you a traffic light system, but just to show you what it's done over time, because it's a longer term indicator, the sentiment indicator, but just to show you what it's done and how it's performed over time. The main point is it better than the index? And of course, well, I say of course, but I can tell you it is. This is the performance of just trading the S&P long when the indicator says green and going flat when it says red, and just look at the difference, and it's still pulling away from the S&P as well. That's just an index indicator. Very, very simple stuff. So you get that. What else do you get in the OVI Private Club? You get watch list. This watch list is cool. Let me show you. And a reversal trade finder, which I don't have time to show you, and a virtual trade app, which I don't have time to show you. But let me show you the watch list function, because this is cool. So in the watch list, you can have any number of watch lists that you want. You can add any stock that you want to your watch list. You can copy anything you want. I have, by the way, loads because I'm giving webinars every week and I have a new watch list for a webinar every time. I'm obviously adding to my watch list all the time. I can copy any stock. I can do anything with any stock. I can change how it looks on the page. I can get rid of my menu so it goes way across the page. I can put it in portrait landscape, but I can do so many things. I can see here that if I click on the stock, I will get information from Yahoo Finance. So that's pretty cool. You just see that loading up there. So that's instant there. I can do it with price and volume. I can pull up a chart. I can see what's going on with the options. I can see if it's trending or falling a flag or anything like that. I can see when earnings is coming on a particular stock as well. Earnings are all in the past here, but if it flagged up, I could show you not only when earnings is coming, but the time of day. We can do so much with this watch list as well, and very soon be able to even find trades through the watch list. So the watch list functionality is very, very cool, and it enables you to control your environment, which is what it's all about, and save you lots of time. So that's the first bit. You get the OVI sentiment indicator, the Dow, which is beating the markets easily, the dashboard with the traffic lights and the pies. You've got the charts, the watch list. You've got a reversal trade finder where you can find reversals, dojis, and railroad tracks very, very simply in a click of a button. And you've got the virtual trader app as well. Next, you've got training. By this, here's what I mean by the training. We've got the Training Vault guides. You've got the guides and the videos. So we've got our OVI 101. This is how you learn about the OVI, and then consolidation patterns. There's an Options 101, and even options strategy guides as well, and the deep glossary in there. But there's also let me show you this. There's the traders, there's the video guides as well. Okay, so the video guides, I should have put that one first, is videos on all things OVI, etc. So webinar tutorials, blogs, and also my video tutorials. If I click on one of those, you'll see how they look as well. Very nice, very user-friendly, bite-sized video chunks, and you can go in there and just look at the tour of the OPC. Obviously, that's changing as we go to this mobile optimized. How to do this in 10 minutes a day, a stocks 101, flags in detail, OVI, and you'll see it's all beautifully presented there. And it just pops up as a little modal on your mobile or whatever you do. It's just popping up, and that's just a video there, and you'll see me. Okay, so there you go. Actually, that's me talking there. But you'll see how easy that is to do. So that's your education bit as well. Videos, guides for stocks and for options. And then you've got the community, the forum. We are a community in this. You're not alone. You're with other people doing this. And so for that, you've got the communications, that's the forum and the support. And obviously, if you go to the forum, then you can interact with other people. And this is a brand new thing. So it's already filling up nicely. Beautiful situation where you can talk to people in a very nice way, politely, and also constructively as well. And of course, we have our partners. And at the moment, there's one, and that's MetaStock. How nice is that? But we have our partner people as well. And only people who are very, very well scrutinized as people will go with in any case. We really only want the highest quality in that. Now, just a few more bits and bobs to go, and then we're done. Here are some just more kind of OVI type situations. Look at SYF, red OVI, downtrend, opportunity to make money, OVI, blue, uptrend, opportunities to make money. Here's more recent. I mean, literally as we look today, we've got Hemrick and Payne, red OVI here, and pops down. Here's COP, Conoco. Red OVI in this area, and trend comes down significantly. Here's HP. Sorry, that was HP. Sorry, we did all that already. FLR, again, one that we talked about recently in my club. Goes sideways, OVI turns red, and wham, down it goes. Dramatic fall. GT, I mean, obviously this is the market we're in today. Red pretty much all the way, down, sideways, and then down again. But we're looking for those sideways moves that gives a clean entry point. And you see that. Here's PKI, another one we've been talking about. Again, this happened before earnings, the OVI turns, and boy, did it go down and carried on going down? Still looks like it's going down. I think it's still down today. I think if you look at the live chart today, you'll find that's down further today. Ralph Lauren, again, mainly red, and down it goes with a bit of sideways action as well. So you just see how responsive this is. And this is how we get people to transform their trading accounts, whether it's Kyle in Florida, who went from a 30% win rate to an 82% win rate, who at the same time tested 2 systems with real money, made 13,500 in losses with one system, but made 18,000 in profits with our method at the same time, same market conditions. And he goes on to say, I'm 100% invested with your system and no stress and blah, blah. I won't go into it because it's not really what we're doing here. But the difference in one way of trading and the other at the same time and with the same average investment was literally night and day, and is transformative for someone who'd made losses and not got anywhere for 12 years before. And here's Chloe. Chloe used to have a win rate of 40%, now has a win rate of 82% as well. She's quadrupled her account since June last year. Over quadruple her account since June last year. And now she is so smart and such an interesting person. She's actually now on our team. She is training to become a mentor. She has made such a big impact on what we've done. So that actually is my bit. The only thing I will just show you is a little bit. Well, actually, I don't really need to show you that either. I'm done. That was all I was intending to show and do today. But as you can see, tons of value in that. A great complement to other things that you may be doing. And I guess Hunter's going to talk about that right now.
Yes. Thank you so much, Guy. I always love watching you present and kind of walk us through the trades and how to, really use your system effectively. And, one of the things that after working with Guy for so long, one of the things that we really wanted to do was to get this system within MetaStock. And what I want to do is kind of show how this system works in MetaStock. So let's do this. Let's get over to MetaStock. Now, MetaStock, we've created a platform that is very, very easy to use, and the goal and focus with MetaStock has always been in really being able to get into a workflow in a very, very short period of time. So the first thing that we wanted to do when we started working with Guy is to kind of understand how the OVI indicator worked and to put it into our most used power tool within MetaStock. Now, so most of you are probably MetaStock users, or some of you that are coming from OVI that have never seen MetaStock before. But I wanted to just cover a very, very brief workflow in MetaStock and how you can apply the exact same tools that Guy was using in his little piece, the OVI indicator, etc., within MetaStock. So if we come over here, in this screen, we're going to go down to the exploration screen. Okay. Now, the exploration tool within MetaStock is honestly, it's my favorite tool. It's the one that's going to help you get into a workflow in the shortest period of time. It's going to help you find trading opportunities. For example, there's right around 4,300 optionable stocks in the U.S. I don't want to open up 4,300 stocks. So the easiest way is to use the MetaStock exploration tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to select the OVI. Now, I actually ran this previous just to save a little bit of time, but I'm going to kind of walk you through the process of running an exploration. So if I am looking for OVI in the positive or the bullish zone, all I'm going to do is select OVI positive. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select whatever index I'm looking across, whatever constituents I want to search. You can select your own watch lists. If you have a set of, let's say, 50 stocks that you continuously trade and that you continuously monitor, you could select that. But let's just run a scan on the S&P 100. Now, there are a couple of things that are very important to note about the OVI. The OVI is a proprietary indicator, and we actually get that information from the OVI club directly. Now, since it's based off of tons and tons of information, Guy was saying a little bit earlier that it's kind of like the Matrix. It really is looking at the back end numbers and the back end code here. It takes a little bit to actually get that indicator. So the indicator is actually not available. So today's reading on the OVI indicator is not going to be available till about 9:30 this evening Eastern time, right around that area. So when you're running an exploration, I'm typically going to run an exploration in the morning. Make sure that right here, normally this box is going to be selected, which means you're going to run a scan today. What we want to do is actually deselect this box and make sure that we're running the scan on the day previous. So we're going to go ahead and select the little calendar. We just hit that little drop down menu right there. Make sure that we select yesterday, last trading day, which was 8/13. And then we're just going to run the exploration. Now, this is going to take just a second. We're pulling information in. It literally takes probably 15 seconds. We're running it across the S&P 100, and we already have our results here. Now, there are a couple of interesting things to note once this exploration has come across. Now, first off, we have 53 results, so 53 stocks that have the OVI in the positive or the bullish zone. Now, I like to sort these a couple of different ways. First off, I want to tell you what these headings mean. How long means how long consecutively has the OVI been in the bullish zone in this specific instance? How long has it been consecutive trading days within the bullish zone? So for example, if we're looking at Abbott Labs, that means that it has been in the bullish phase for 6 consecutive days, for the last 6 days. The next one over, we're looking at 50 bar plus. So what this does is this is going to show us over the last 50 periods, how many days has the OVI been in the positive range or has the OVI been in the negative range? So for example, Abbott Labs, you can tell, has been in the bullish range for the last 6 days. And over the course of the last 50 days, it has been in that bullish zone for 47 of them. Okay, so you can tell by that, just by looking at these statistics, that it's a very, very bullish stock and it's trending. So let's go ahead and double click on that. I'm going to minimize that window for just a second. And we're looking at a chart of Abbott Labs. Same thing here. Let's go ahead and zoom in so that we can see the indicator. The OVI indicator is right here. Now, I have to warn you, we just did an update to the OVI indicator, and it pretty much launched yesterday. So this is going to be, it's actually going to look like an oscillator, but it's the exact same indicator. So first off, we have the OVI indicator with a 5-period moving average, which is the red line here. And as you can tell, it has been in the bullish zone for a very long time. And if we just eyeball the chart, again, we see that the stock has been trending up for a significant period of time. And we have volume at the bottom. Let's open that exploration back up again. Now, I still don't want to open up 53 charts, so there are a couple of different ways that I'm going to sort and look for this. First off, if I'm looking for long-term bullish stocks, I am going to double-click on the 50 bar plus column, and I'm going to see that these top stocks here are going to be, in other words, they have been bullish for 49 of the last 50 days or 50 of the last 50 days. Abbott Labs, the one we were just looking at, is actually up there. Southern, let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. It's actually been in the bullish zone for OVI for the last 51 days. So let's go ahead and minimize this window again. Let's take a look here at this chart. Again, this is a very, very, very trending stock. Okay. Now, again, what we want is, and Guy actually mentioned this a little bit earlier, he was focusing on the word persistence, because persistence with this indicator is incredibly important because it's going to show that trending stock over a long period of time. We see, let's go ahead and scroll back here. Right here, let's look at this. This is the same chart, Southern, okay, but if we go back to September of 1 or 2 years ago, we're going to see that the stock is significantly moving sideways. It's not trending in one direction or another. What we're also going to see here is that the OVI indicator is very choppy. It's moving above the zero line. It's moving below the zero line. We have really no decision here. However, if we move forward in time, let's take a look at the beginning. Really, the beginning of this year has been where it's significantly started trending. Right when it started trending positively, the OVI was bullish and it stayed bullish throughout most of the entire time. We have a little dip below right here and maybe one right here, but for the most part, the OVI has shown the exact trend of this stock. Let's look at another example. Another way I've actually learned to sort this is if I'm looking for reversals. For example, something that has been historically bullish for quite some time, but maybe it's moved a little sideways lately, is I'll actually sort by how many consecutive days it's been above or below on the OVI. Since we're running the bullish scan, we're going to take a look at above. So for example, Intel or Honeywell or General Dynamics, these are all stocks that have only been above or in the bullish zone for 1 day. However, if you take a look here on the 50 bar, most of them have had an average of, for example, General Dynamics. Let's take a look at this one. This one has had bullish conditions on the OVI for 43 of the last 50 days, but it has only been such for the last 1 day in a row. So in other words, we had a little bit of indecision. Let's take a look at this. So for the last 50 days, we have had a trend up. Our OVI dipped below into the negative zone, into the bearish zone. We are just above. So this is something that with General Dynamics, maybe I put this on a watch list and I look for those flags to where the stock is going to continue the trend that it's been on for the last month or so, month and a half. Okay. Now, the good thing with MetaStock is, first off, we found these opportunities with a scan. You can actually use the OVI indicator if you're currently using MetaStock, and let's say that you use another system or other setups, Fibonacci's, or if you use MACDs, etc. If you use other indicators, you can actually use the OVI indicator on any system that you use that is, of course, on an optionable stock. Now, if you open up a stock that is not optionable, it's just going to show you a flat line. Okay. Now, last thing I want to show you here in MetaStock is our expert commentary. Now, our expert commentary is a very, very powerful tool in MetaStock because it's going to walk you through the OVI system. Okay. So it's going to give you, if we just pop on the commentary, it's going to give you kind of an overview of Guy and OVI traders and kind of how the system works. But if we take a look down here, the auto-generated content, in other words, this is actually going to give you an overview of what the indicator is telling you right now. For example, the OVI has been bullish for 1 day, but over the last 50 days, it has been reading bullish 43 of those days. Okay, so it's actually going to walk you through what condition the OVI is currently in on this specific stock. So if you ever forget what the signals and the OVI mean, just open up the commentary and it's going to direct you straight to it. So in a matter of a couple of minutes and me rambling on, we've been able to run a scan on the S&P 100. We're able to find 53 stocks where the OVI is in the bullish zone, and we've been able to actually look through those stocks and filter them a couple of different ways, whether we're looking for very, very long-term trades, just to kind of ride that trend using the OVI, or on the other hand, if we're looking for a possible reversal or the stock getting back to the trend that it's been strongly in over the course of the last couple of months. So again, very, very easy to get into a workflow using the OVI. I'm really happy to say that if you have the OVI and you get MetaStock, you automatically have access to this add-on. It comes with the indicator, the volume indicator. The main thing here is the Options Volatility Indicator, the OVI. Comes with 2 explorations. Again, this is a very simple, straightforward system. It's for the explorations, you can either look for bearish conditions or bullish conditions. That's the OVI negative and positive. Expert advisors, we have the OVI Expert Advisor, which I just showed you a little bit about, that's going to educate you on how long that stock has been in the bullish or bearish phase, consecutively, as well as over the course of the last 50 periods. It also comes with the template that you can apply to any optionable stock, and it's going to work just fine. The private club, I want to touch bases very, very briefly because Guy actually did a good job of kind of breaking down, of course, within the time he had, a couple of the main features that are within the private club. He has weekly live webinars, as he was saying a little bit earlier. He has a new watch list for every webinar that he does. He has a ton of regular video updates, a ton of education. Some of the tools that he has is, they're very unique. He was showing off some of the pie chart tools there, and you can actually drill down into those pie charts and see the individual stocks that are making up those bullish or bearish flags. It's very interactive. It's very intuitive. You also have access to OVI watch lists. So these are watch lists that Guy created and his staff created. And you have access to the Paper Trader app. Now, the good news is you can go, once you're part of the private club, you can go in and you learn more about the Paper Trader app or any of these tools, etc. The archive of videos and education that are available within this private club are incredible. Again, the good news is if you have OVI, if you're part of the private club as we speak right now, and if you have MetaStock, you can start using that OVI Private Club add-on right away. Now, for those of you that are OVI Club members, but you haven't used MetaStock before and you want to actually use that exploration function or use that indicator within MetaStock, you can actually do a trial. Now, we've done kind of an extended trial specifically for Guy's clients for the OVI Private Club. All you have to do is pay for 1 month, and you get 2 additional months for free. Okay. Now, with that, the end-of-day product, we have an end-of-day product as well as a real-time product. For end-of-day, it's $59. So you pay for a 1-month subscription that includes MetaStock. The OVI add-on is going to be included in that, as well as a region of data. You will have that for 3 months for $59. Okay. Now, the reason that we kind of do an extended trial is because we want you to understand exactly how MetaStock coupled with the OVI is going to positively affect your trades. Now, it's going to take a little bit to kind of get used to a couple of the tools within MetaStock and to get into that workflow. So obviously, we'll provide some training on MetaStock to go along with it as far as unleash the power of MetaStock, how to use all the tools within MetaStock. But at the end of 3 months, we're confident that you're going to understand exactly how MetaStock can positively impact your trading, especially with the OVI indicator. Now, to take advantage of that, you're just going to go to metastock.com/sales chat. I have a couple of guys in chat right now that are ready to answer any questions for you that you have, as well as help you get signed up for that. So it's metastock.com/sales chat. We're putting that into the chat boxes right now on GoTo as well as YouTube. Or if you just want to take advantage of the trial, if you don't have any questions, you can go straight to metastock.com/OVI 3-for-1. Now, there's some of you in the audience right now that already have MetaStock, but you've never heard of OVI or Guy Cohen before. But we want you to have the ability to try out this add-on for a couple of months. So what we've done is we've arranged with Guy, after twisting his arm a little bit, we've arranged with Guy to do basically a 1 pay for 1 month, get 1 additional month for free trial. So you're going to have the OVI add-on for 2 months for $197. Now, with that, again, this is going to come with the OVI Private Club, where you're going to have access to all of his education, his videos, the paper trader app that he briefly touched on, all of the intuitive tools that are included in the OVI Private Trader Club, as well as the forum. Now, to access that, again, just go to metastock.com/sales chat, or you can go to metastock.com/OVIA, and we'll make sure that those are in the chat as well. I'm going to put those in. Right now, I want to open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions. Guy,
Hunter, you do have a, I'm sorry to interrupt. You do have a question from a gentleman on YouTube, Vijay Kathuria. He wants to know if this works on Indian markets.
Right now, this only works on U.S. optionable stocks, because we're actually pulling the information. What Guy does is he pulls the all of that information from U.S. optionable stocks and compiles it and generates it into that indicator. And Guy, I hear you jump back on there. We're just waiting for questions to pop up here. Let's see. Guy, maybe you can answer this a little bit better than I can. Does the OVI work well on ultra ETFs like SSO and TQQQ? Oh, Guy, are you there?
Oh, yes. I'm here. I am here. Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. We're just doing a little bit of Q&A here, just wrapping up.
I beg your pardon. My son was just thinking of going to bed, so I just popped out. I do apologize.
No worries at all. We have one question here that you might be a little bit more suited to answer. Does the OVI work well on ultra ETFs like TQQQ or SSO?
Well, I just showed you NUGT for a start. So here's one of the things you'll get when you get into the OVI world is when it's firing and when it's not. And so some of these ETFs are rather illiquid. But of course, the main ETF that isn't an ultra is likely to be much more liquid. Now with NUGT, as I showed you in the charts earlier, that's the triple gold. It's liquid there. And it was a double money thing in about 6 to 8 weeks. That's just with the underlying. The options, as I said, went up fourfold. And we were all over it because we could see that GLD was also firing at the same time. But everything to do with gold was firing. We're going, hang on a sec, guys. This is very interesting. The market's going up, the equities market's going up, but also gold is. There's something going on. And then we could see the leverage players going in there. And then we see gold start to rise. And of course, what you're looking for is quality. You don't need every single ETF or every single ultra ETF. What you just need to know is when it's firing for something in particular. Again, it could be a stock, could be ETF. So there are some of the triples that don't have enough liquidity in their options to give us a good signal. And there are some that do. And in some cases, the standard ETF will have plenty of liquidity to give us a heads up, but the ultra won't. But the ultra will be highly correlated with the standard one. And therefore, you can still trade the ultra on the basis of what's going on with the standard ETF. Does that? I don't know whether you can see hands going up there, Hunter, but if that makes sense, that should get some hands going.
Perfect. I'll let you know if he has a follow-up question to that. Another question, I think it's a very good question. How do you know you were looking at real institutional bias versus just seeing hedging?
Well, that's exactly the whole point of what we do. And part of the answer is to do with persistence. Part of the answer is to do with what's going on with the underlying. Is it corroborating? Because if it isn't, let's just say you've got thick OVI blue, but the stock's sinking like a stone. Well, there's hedging to the upside. There's short covering, if you like. Or if the stock's rising, but the OVI can't get a grip, and isn't blue, then there's hedging to the downside. Or there's another possibility. When the OVI and the stock are not syncing properly as you would want them to, there's just no information to be had. And that's good too, because at least you now know what you're looking for. So part of learning about the OVI, which is very easy, by the way, is understanding when to use it, because you're looking to jump on the coattails or ride on the coattails of people who know more than you, who have the information, and they're willing to make more, they're willing to risk more in order to make more. And so there is a very specific set of rules that we use to do that. And so, this is why we look for bull flag type situations plus persistent positive OVI, because then you've got the corroboration. Or you look for persistent negative OVI with a bear flag or a negative trend and a sideways move. So that's how we do that. Now, how do we know? Well, we know through testing, because obviously the logic fits. Everything that we do has to pass the smell test in terms of logic. Otherwise, the quantitative analyst, the independent quantitative analyst, wouldn't let it pass. And so what we do is, what we did with them, or what they did, is they tested. They tested the hypothesis. The hypothesis rang true. That was fine. But how did it fare in real life? And in real life, it beat up the S&P every which way. And with really impressive returns, with specific strategies, even getting to sort of averages of 6.5 to 7 or more out of 10 winning trades in that. And we can up that even more in certain cases as well. So it's logic plus real evidence.
Perfect. Let's see. Is the OVI suitable to work on different time frames? What is the recommended best time frame for it to work?
Daily.
Daily.
We work on the OVI with daily charts. Because of what goes into the OVI, we have to wait to the end of the day anyway. So the OVI is, there's no particular secret, but the OVI is made up of implied volatility, open interest, and option volume. And the open interest piece of that data has to come daily. You don't get intraday data on that.
Sure, exactly. And another thing to note on that, again, I kind of touched on this when I was showing you the OVI and MetaStock and the really powerful scan that we put together for it. Just make sure you're running it for the previous trading day when you're running an actual exploration. Vincenzo says, without testing, there is no success. Man, I could not agree with you more.
And let me put something else in there, Vincenzo, and everyone else, because there's testing and there's testing. Because most systems and most tests available for retail traders like you and like me and like all of us are heavily over-optimized, over-fitted, and therefore aren't really worth anything. Now, if you only test on a specific data set, then you only know what happens within that data set. You don't actually know what's happened beyond that data set. Now, in OVI tests, we have tested not just for a particular data set, but beyond, with unseen data, with out-of-sample data, and that still beats the market as well. The other part of testing, and this is really important to sort of get a grasp of, even if you don't actually have to do it, is that most trading systems, probably well in the 90% of trading systems you'll see, have way too many parameters and way too little data. And that combination also leads to overfitting. And what happens, of course, when people make their trading systems, they crank everything up to the most maximum dial they can make it, which of course is going to fail miserably with unseen out-of-sample data. And so what you end up getting is trading systems which are pretty much exclusively dependent on noise, or formulated out of noise rather than data that's really important. And particularly you get this with Forex systems and other things like that, where there is no edge to be had, really and truly. It's just anomalies. And it's just a question of whether you're on the right side of the anomaly for long enough for the anomaly to last long enough to make you some money. But with stocks, we're not talking about anomalies. We're talking about a phenomenon. We're talking about demand and supply at the leverage level. We're talking about that demand and supply imbalance being there for real reasons, from professionals, from large investors, hedge fund types, who are prepared to put their money where their research is. And so we can go on about, I can give a whole webinar on how to test properly, and with the fact that 99% of people aren't testing properly.
Yeah, and alongside with that, education is huge. That's one of the primary factors that we've been working with Guy for so long, is because we understand the fulfillment on the back end is definitely there. The education is there. The content is there to help you understand every single aspect of the trade. It's not just an indicator and here you go, figure it out. It's definitely a whole trading process that Guy can teach you. And we only want to work with the best, and we feel that education is a huge part of everything, because you can have the best tools. Now, I'm probably pretty biased, but I think MetaStock are some of the best tools on the market. But if you don't understand how to use those tools, if you don't understand how to use them effectively, you're not going to make money. You're probably going to lose money. So that's why pairing MetaStock with OVI, for us, it was kind of a no-brainer because of the education and the fulfillment on the back end and the content that Guy does. It's truly incredible. Let's see here. I don't see any other questions right now. If you guys, once we end the webinar, if you guys have questions, come into metastock.com/sales chat. We'll make sure to answer any questions that you have. Come in there for your trial of either MetaStock. We're doing that, again, 3 for 1, where you can pay $59, have MetaStock for 3 whole months. Or if you're a current MetaStock user and you haven't used OVI yet, pay the $197. You get it for 2 months. And you have access to just a ton of content and a ton of tools. I think that's going to about wrap it up. Guy, thank you as always for a wonderful presentation. It's always a pleasure to have you on here.
So much, Hunter. Always a pleasure. I'll see you guys soon.
And for all of you out in the audience, thank you so much for attending. You on YouTube and GoToWebinar, etc. We always enjoy putting on these webinars, and I hope that you got some good information out of this. Let us know, of course, if you have any questions. Go out there, have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, night, whatever it is, and as always, happy trading.